Long ago, in a small red-hot village where the wind carried the scent of roasted maize and the night was filled with the soft cry of crickets, there lived a little girl named Amara. Her name meant grace, and truly, grace shone in her smile. Her parents, Obina and Gozi, loved her more than anything under the sun. Every morning, Amara would follow her mother to the stream, her tiny feet making prints on the wet earth as she carried a small calabash. Her laughter danced through the air like birdsong, and the villagers would say, "That child carries sunshine in her heart." Her father was a palm wine tapper, strong, kind, and known for his gentle voice. Each evening, he returned home with his gourd of wine, lifting Amara high in the air. "My little bird," he would say, "you will grow strong like the Iroko tree." But one season, when the harmattan wind came too early and the nights grew cold, sickness swept through the village. It began like a whisper, one cough here, a fever there, until it reached Amara's home. Her mother fell ill first. Then her father. For many days, Amara sat beside their mat, fanning them with palm leaves, calling softly, "Mama. Papa, please wake up." But their eyes were heavy with pain. The herbs didn't help, and the healer shook his head sadly. One dawn, when the first cock crowed, Amara's mother breathed her last. Her father followed before the sun reached the hill. The little girl cried until her voice broke like a dry calabash. The villagers buried her parents beneath the Udola tree behind their hut. The wind that evening was heavy and mournful, and even the birds fell silent. After the burial, Amara sat by the cold hearth, hugging her knees. She didn't understand what "gone forever" meant, only that her mother's voice would never call her again, and her father's laughter would never echo in the yard. A few days later, a woman came from a nearby village. Her name was Auntie Neka, Ngozi's elder sister. Her face was sharp like the blade of a machete, and her eyes, though bright, carried no warmth. She looked at Amara and sighed loudly. "So, this is the child. Eh. What a pity. But life must go on. Pack her things, let her come with me." The villagers were relieved. "At least the poor girl has someone," they said. None of them knew what awaited her in Neka's house. Auntie Neka lived in a compound surrounded by tall bamboo and a fence of dry sticks. Her husband had died long ago, leaving her with two children, Ada and Chaik, both older than Amara. When Amara arrived, Neka looked her up and down. "From today," she said, "you will work if you want to eat. I am not running a free house." The little girl nodded timidly, clutching her small bag. That night, she slept on a mat near the kitchen, where smoke hung in the air and rats scurried in the dark. At dawn, Neka's voice thundered through the house. "Amara. Are you still sleeping? Lazy girl. Go and fetch water before the sun rises." Amara rubbed her eyes and hurried to the stream. The path was long, and the calabash heavy for her small arms. When she stumbled, the water spilled. By the time she returned, Neka was waiting with a scowl. "You foolish girl. Do you think water fetches itself? Go back again." The words hit Amara harder than stones. She turned back, tears mixing with sweat. Days turned into weeks. Neka gave her more work than one child could bear. She swept the compound, washed the pots, fetched firewood, and cared for Ada and Chaik, who often mocked her. One afternoon, as the sun scorched the earth, Neka sent her to the farm alone. "Go and weed that place near the Kosovo Ridge," she ordered. "If I come back and see even one weed standing, you will eat nothing tonight." Amara's hands trembled. The hoe was heavy. Her back ached as she bent over the hard ground. When she finally returned at sunset, her fingers were blistered and her stomach empty. But instead of pity, her aunt's voice roared. "You call this work? Even goats can do better. Now go and cook." Amara wanted to cry, but no tears came. She cooked with shaking hands, and when the food was ready, Neka dished out large portions for herself and her children. Amara waited quietly. When she asked for her share, her aunt hissed. "You think you deserve food after that useless work? Go to bed." That night, hunger twisted in her stomach. She lay awake, staring at the thatched roof. The moonlight spilled through the cracks, touching her tear-stained face. She whispered softly, Mama. Papa, are you watching me? Why did you leave me here? The next morning, Neka's anger returned like the rising sun. She shouted again, scolded again, and gave Amara impossible tasks, washing piles of clothes alone, pounding yam until her small arms ached, carrying baskets of firewood heavier than herself. When she stumbled or broke something, Neka's slap came quick and sharp. You useless orphan. You want to break my things, eh? You want to eat and do nothing. Even Ada and Chak joined in. They laughed when Amara cried, hid her food, and pushed her around. One day, Amara fainted while sweeping the compound. Her little body couldn't take the hunger and work anymore. Neka poured cold water on her face, muttering, if you die here, I'll just throw you in the bush. But Amara didn't die. She woke weak and quiet. In her heart, a small voice began to whisper, a voice that said, don't give up. Your mother's spirit is watching. That night, she dreamt of her mother standing beside a river, her wrapper bright like the morning sun. Her mother smiled gently and said, my daughter, do not let your pain turn you to stone. Endure, and your path will shine again. Amara woke up with tears in her eyes, but for the first time in many months, she felt warmth inside her chest, a little spark of hope. The next days were still hard, but Amara began to find strength in silence. When Neka shouted, she no longer trembled as much. When hunger beat her belly, she whispered to herself, it will not always be like this. But fate was not done testing her yet. One day, Neka sent her on an errand deep into the forest, a place where the villagers feared to go after dusk. Go and gather firewood there, she commanded. Don't return until your basket is full. Amara looked at the dark trees beyond the path. She was afraid. Auntie, please, the forest. Neka slapped her. Don't argue with me. Go. The girl swallowed her tears and began the long walk into the forest, her bare feet pressing against the cool earth. As she gathered sticks, the sky darkened. The wind whistled through the tall trees. Strange sounds echoed, the cry of birds, the rustle of unseen things. Her heart pounded. The path seemed endless. She wanted to run home, but she remembered Neka's warning. And there, under an old Iroko tree, something happened that would change her life forever. The forest was quiet, too quiet. Amara's small hands trembled as she picked sticks and placed them into her basket. The sun had already dipped low, painting the trees in shadows. She could hear her own heartbeat, loud and frightened. A sudden rustle came from behind a bush. She froze, her breath caught in her throat. Who is there?" she whispered. A small goat jumped out, bleating softly. Amara let out a shaky breath and smiled faintly. "Oh, just you," she said. But when she turned to leave, her foot caught on a root, and she fell. The firewood scattered. Pain shot through her leg. She winced, trying to stand, but the leg was weak. She sat there, clutching her knee, her heart heavy with fear. The forest around her darkened. Crickets began their evening song. Amara looked up and whispered, "Mama. Papa, please, help me." Then, from the far end of the path, she saw a dim light, like a lantern moving slowly toward her. She hesitated. Could it be her aunt searching for her? No, Neka would never come. The light drew closer, and soon she saw an old woman walking with a staff, her wrapper tied neatly, her hair white as cotton. "Child," the woman said softly, "what are you doing alone in the forest?" Amara wiped her tears. "My aunt sent me to gather firewood, but I fell." The old woman nodded, her eyes kind. "Let me see your leg." She bent down, touched it gently, and murmured some words under her breath. A warmth spread through Amara's knee, and the pain eased. "Try to stand," the woman said. Amara stood, and to her surprise, the pain was gone. "Thank you, Ma," she whispered. The old woman smiled. "You are brave, my daughter. You carry a light inside you, though the world tries to hide it. When darkness surrounds you, remember, light lives within." Before Amara could speak again, the woman began to walk away, fading into the mist. Amara blinked, and she was gone. Only the faint scent of herbs and flowers lingered in the air. She looked around, confused but calm. Somehow, she found her way back home, her basket now full. When she reached the compound, Neka's angry voice greeted her. "So you finally remembered to come back. Do you know what time it is?" "I'm sorry, Auntie," Amara said quietly. "I hurt my leg in the forest." "Excuses," Neka snapped. "Lazy girl. Go cook. No food for you until you finish." Amara obeyed without a word. But as she cooked, she thought of the old woman's voice, "Light lives within." Those words became her secret strength. Whenever Neka scolded her or Ada mocked her, Amara whispered them to herself. Months passed. The dry season came. The air was dusty, and the stream ran thin. Neka grew harsher, her temper short. She blamed Amara for everything, if the firewood was wet, if the soup was too salty, even if the chicken strayed from the yard. But Amara was changing. The pain that once broke her now shaped her. She had learned patience. Her heart grew quiet and wise. She began to sing softly while walking, old songs her mother used to hum. Her voice was sweet and gentle. Sometimes, even the neighbors stopped to listen. "Who is singing?" they would ask. "It sounds like a bird in the morning." One day, an old farmer named Papa Is was passing by Neka's compound. He heard Amara's song as she pounded yam near the kitchen. The melody was full of sorrow yet so beautiful that it made him stop. He waited until Neka came out. "Good afternoon, Neka," he greeted. "Oh, Papa Is, welcome oh," she replied quickly, her tone suddenly sweet. "Who is that singing?" he asked. "That voice carries something from the heavens." Neka frowned. "Oh, it's just that orphan girl. Always singing instead of walking." Papa Is nodded slowly. Tell her to come to the village square tomorrow. The chief is celebrating the harvest festival. They are calling for children to sing and dance. Let her try." Neka hesitated. "Festival. This one. She will only embarrass me." But Papa Is smiled. "Let her come. You never know how blessings may find you." When he left, Neka turned to Amara. "You heard that old man. You better not disgrace me tomorrow. If you sing nonsense, I'll beat you like never before." Amara nodded silently, though her heart was racing. That night, she could hardly sleep. The thought of singing before the whole village filled her with both fear and joy. She knelt on her mat and whispered, "Mama, if you can hear me, help me sing with courage." The next day, the village square was alive with color and sound. Drums echoed through the air, women danced in bright wrappers, and children laughed as they waited their turn to perform. When Amara's name was called, she stepped forward. Her feet trembled, but she remembered the old woman's words, "Light lives within." She closed her eyes and began to sing. Her voice rose like the morning sun, soft at first, then stronger. It carried through the air, weaving sadness and hope together. The villagers fell silent. Even the drummer stopped. Her song told of a little girl who lost her parents, who was treated with cruelty, but still carried love in her heart. It spoke of forgiveness, endurance, and the promise that pain never lasts forever. When she finished, the crowd erupted in applause. The chief himself stood and said, "This child sings with the voice of the ancestors. She is blessed." Tears filled Amara's eyes. For the first time, someone saw her not as a burden, but as something precious. From that day, everything began to change. The chief's wife invited Amara to the palace to sing at special gatherings. The women admired her humility, the elders blessed her for her strength. People began bringing gifts to Neka's house, food, clothes, and small coins, all to thank the aunt who raised such a gifted girl. Neka, greedy as she was, accepted everything with fake smiles. But in her heart, jealousy grew. One evening, as Amara returned from the palace with leftover food wrapped in a leaf, Neka stopped her. "So, you think you're better than everyone now, Ed?" she hissed. "You think because the chief praises you, you can look down on me?" Amara shook her head quickly. "No, Auntie. I'm only grateful. I wanted to share this food with you and Ada. Her kindness only made Neka angrier. Get out of my sight before I break that mouth, she shouted. Amara quietly went to her small corner and ate in silence. Her heart hurt, but she no longer let bitterness grow inside her. She had learned that pain, when held gently, could turn into strength. As months passed, Amara's songs became known in nearby villages. People said her voice could heal sorrow. The chief arranged for her to attend the village school, paying the fees himself. When she learned to read and write, she began to compose her own songs and stories, songs about love, loss, and hope. Her name spread far and wide. Even Neka could no longer deny the blessings that followed the child she once called useless. Slowly, her harshness softened. One day, she fell ill, and it was Amara who cared for her, feeding her, fetching water, and praying by her side. Neka wept and said, "Child, after all I did to you, you still show me kindness." Amara smiled gently. "Auntie, Mama taught me that hate is a sickness, but love is a cure. I choose love." Tears rolled down Neka's cheeks. From that day, she treated Amara like her own daughter. Years later, when Amara grew into a young woman, she built a small home near the Udola tree where her parents rested. There, she taught children how to sing, to read, and to believe that no pain lasts forever. Sometimes, when the evening sun painted the sky gold, she sat outside her hut, humming softly. The wind would carry her song across the village, a song of grace, forgiveness, and light. The villagers would say, "That is Amara, the orphan who turned sorrow into song." And somewhere, deep within the gentle breeze, it felt as if her parents' spirits were smiling.